we'll be starting with economics. So in this part, we'll be studying about the meaning of economics and the important definitions which will say or explain us about what is economics. Economics is one of the most important branches of social science, and it is also known the queen of social science. So you can understand how important economics is. So economics, the word economics is derived from a Greek word ekos, which means a house, and nomos, which means to manage. So overall, it is managing a household is what is known as economics. So the word or the term economy is the title of a special work by Xenophon, which will give us the sensible rules for the management of household and estate. And then Aristotle, in his book Politics, Book 1, has dealt with the economic issues under two categories, that is, homo economics and cremastesis. So, homo economics is a science of household management, and cremastesis is a science of supply, which includes money making, art of acquisition, and exchange. So, with this, everybody started getting used with the word economy. So, economy was basically a special work by Xenophon, whose title was Economy. And then in this Politics Book 1, Aristotle has also raised has explained the economic issues in the management of household and also in money making, art of acquisition and exchange. So after this, later came Kautilya's Ardhashastra, which has explained us about the management of state. So until now, everybody thought economics is something which is involving the house matters or household management. But with the entrance of Kautilya's Ardhashastra, it has become the management of state, and so with this, economics has become political economy. So this word political economy has continued until the end of 19th century. So until the end of 19th century, there was the use of the word political economy. So initially it was economics, later it became political economy, and this was introduced into the socio-economic literature by Anthony de Montchrestien, who was a French nobleman. So basically, Kautilya's Ardhashastra has started with the use of political economy, and this has got introduced into the socio-economic literature by this person who is a French nobleman. And this continued to prevail, the word political economy continued to prevail until the end of 19th century. So with this, everybody got used with the word economics and also with the word political economics. But what had happened is people started to actually define what is economics. So they started to define and explain to people what is economics. So with this came the other section, that is the definitions of economics. So first, starting with the first one, that is Adam Smith's wealth definition. That is, Adam Smith was a classical economist, and in his book An Enquiry into Nature and the Causes of Wealth of Nations, he has explained that the political economy, considered as a branch of statesman or legislator, proposes two objects. The first is to provide a plain revenue or subsistence for the people and more properly enable them to provide such a revenue or subsistence for themselves, and secondly, the state or the commonwealth with the revenue sufficient for the public services. So it proposes to enrich people and sovereign. So according to Adam Smith, the economics is something which have to benefit or will study about both how a plain revenue of people will be there and also about how the state will function properly. So what are the key notes is that economy is a branch of state or a legislator, and it has two primary objectives. It is to provide the subsistence for the people and the supply the state the revenue for the public services. So overall it need to enrich both the people and the sovereign. In the sense, both the people and state should be benefited by political economy, which is a branch of state or the legislator. So, what are the main features of this? What has Adam Smith has told is that economics is study of wealth only. So whatever he has told in this is based on wealth. Like how will they manage, the people manage the revenue and the state will manage their revenue. So it is only spoke about wealth, and it has consumption, production, exchange and the distribution of wealth. So it only studies about wealth and about the material commodities which are scarce and useful. In the sense, it is wealth itself, and the non-material commodities which are not wealth are the free goods. Adam Smith has considered only the wealth has those commodities which are useful and are scarce, while the non-material commodities like air and water are not considered as wealth by Adam Smith. And yet studies the causes of wealth changes, that is the economic development. So these are the three primary features of the Adam Smith's wealth definition. But few people were against this, which has raised the criticism. So what is it? It has given too much importance to wealth. So Adam Smith has only spoken about wealth but nothing else, and he has also not taken the non-material goods as wealth like air and water. He has only spoke about the material goods, and it has given the restricted meaning of wealth, and there is no mention of man's welfare. So he has not mentioned, like there is no importance to the economic welfare of the society. It only showed or spoke about the accumulation of wealth, and there is no study of means. It is like how to earn wealth is not mentioned in the wealth definition of Adam Smith, and it has given the concept of economic man. So the wealth definition is based on the assumption that every man works more to satisfy his self-interest. It will not deal with a common man, but it was dealing with a selfish economic man. Like it has took the assumption that everybody is working to earn and be selfish for their own needs, but it has not spoke about the normal common man. So along with this, due to all this criticism and all these things, the economics has got a stamp that it has become a dismal science, that everybody started saying like economics is not so nice because it has only spoke about the wealth acquisition and all these things, but it is not spoken about the human welfare. So then came Marshall with his welfare definition. In his book Elements of Economics, he has stated that political economy or economics is a study of man's action in ordinary business of life. It requires how he gets his income and how he uses it, and it is on one side the study of wealth, and on the other side it is a study of man. So this has covered both and welfare. So this Marshall's one has spoke about both the wealth and welfare, whereas Adam Smith has spoke only about wealth, but Marshall has added welfare to it by saying that Economics will inquire about how a man will be able to get his income, the means of earning, and how he will be using it. And one side it is study of wealth, and on the other side it is a part of the study of man. And in his Principles of Economics, Marshall has told that economics is a study of mankind in the ordinary business of life. It examines that part of the individual and social actions which is most connected and the use of material requisites of well being. So, with this, what Marshall has told or spoke or said about economics, then economics, from being a science of wealth, has started to become the science of welfare. So, initially, due to Adam Smith's understanding, it has become the science of wealth, but now it is converted into the science of welfare. What are the merits of welfare? Of Marshall was that it avoids criticism which is made against Adam Smith, and it classifies the economic activities as welfare, material welfare, and non-material welfare. So he had spoke about both the things and clears about the nature of economics, like it will study about both wealth and welfare, and also it is clear on the scope of economics. The scope of economics according to the welfare definition is that the material activities of a man only. It is a study of individuals as well as society as they are related through the economic activities. But even though there was some criticism for this welfare of Marshall as well, because it has shown the limited scope of economics and the restriction of economics to the activities of ordinary man, and everybody faced the problem of choice. But Marshall has not spoke about the problem of choice, and also the lack of clear concept of welfare, like what is welfare is not explained, and welfare cannot be quantitatively measured. So for one man, the satisfaction level will not be equal to the other man even with the same quantity of wealth. So the welfare cannot be quantitatively measured. So if one person is happy with something, the other person may not be happy with the same thing at that particular period of or the point of time. So welfare cannot be quantitatively measured, and it is classificatory rather than analytical. So he has divided the human activities into economic and non-economic activities, but it is not scientific or logical, because some non-economic aspects also will be there which will have the economic value for it, or even some economic activities will be there which will be having some non-economic values for it. So the class, it is not analytical in nature. Welfare has become classificatory, but it is not analytical. It is lacking some logic in it. Due to all these reasons, there was another person who came up with the Robin's scarcity definition. So Robin has given the scarcity definition in his book, An Essay on the Nature and Significance of Economic Science. So he has told that economics is a science which studies the human behavior as a relationship between ends and scarce means which have alternative uses. So here Robbins has told about ends, saying that it is the want of the people, and the scarce means which have the alternative uses. So what are the main features of this is that people will have unlimited wants or ends. So everybody will have unlimited wants, like one want is completed, you will go for an other. And Robbins has used the word ends in his thing instead of wants. And for the limited or scarce means, so most of the means or resources which can be used for us to satisfy our wants are limited in supply. So therefore, we call it scarce in the sense they are limited. So every resource will not be in unlimited forms. Everything will have a limit, and every means will have the alternative uses. So the same resource is used in more than one way. So some resources have a large number of uses and others will have few uses. So man is always faced with the problem of allocation of limited resources. So everything will have alternative uses and there will be the wants of the different intensity. So we may have a number of wants, but one want will be more in us while the other will be a bit less. So we'll go up first with the one which we truly wanted or is truly needful by us, and then we'll go up to the other alternative options. So wants are of different intensities and there is a problem of choice for us. Everybody will face a problem of choice. For example, if you will speak about the allocation of resources, first you wanted to know if you wanted to do with the capital goods or the consumer goods. So after solving this problem of you wanted to use the capital goods or the consumer goods, then you will be having another problem of the method of producing goods. How will you be able to produce the goods? In which form do you want to produce your goods? And then the next problem will be the choice of technique. You wanted a labor intensive one or a capital intensive one. So after solving this, you will be having the scale of production. You wanted to have it in a large scale or in a small scale, and how to set up the factories and all these things. And then after checking all these things and solving all these problem of choices, you will be coming to the final choice, that is, do you want to exist in that industry or you wanted to exit from that industry? So everywhere there is a problem of choice. So all these things were spoken in Robbins' scarcity definition of economics. So with this, we have got criticism as well, that is, it has concealed the concept of welfare. Robbins rejected Marshall's definition for its welfare content. According to the critics, his ends are related to welfare and his definition has a concealed concept of welfare. It is only an old wine in a new bottle. So what people thought was Robin was also saying the same thing which Marshall has told. It's just that he's placing the words in a different format. And then the second point was his definition was self-contradictory. And there was absence of human touch and it was more abstract. In the sense it was not practically possible or it was more complex. And it is static in content, which was one of the greatest defect in what Robbins has told, because it suffers from inadequateness. And also there is a choice of individuals as a subject matter, and it did not cover the economic growth. So economics of growth explains how an economy grows and the national income increases, and Robbins takes the resources as given and speaks about only their allocation. So in spite of all these criticisms, Robbins 1 is considered as one of the best by many of the economists. And with this, we have followed this for a very long period of time, but the Robbins definition excludes from its preview the problem of economic growth. So with this came the modern or the growth definition, which was provided by Professor Samuelson. So in his book Economics, he has stated that economics is the study of how men and society choose with or without the use of money to employ scarce productive resources which could have alternative uses to produce various commodities over time and to distribute them for consumption now and in the future among various people and groups of society. So this is what was given as the modern or growth definition by Professor Samuelson, that economics is study of how men and society choose with or without the use of money to employ the scarce resources which could have alternative uses to provide various commodities over time and distribute them for the consumption now in the future among various groups and people. So in this, they've also shown us about how growth will affect the economics, either by the use of money or without the use of money, how people will employ these scarce productive resources which could have alternative uses. So how they'll use all these resources for their livelihood and to produce various commodities over time and also distribute them for the consumption now and the future among various people and groups of society. So with this, everything is sorted, and most of the people have taken this growth definition as the best one for economics after considering Robbins' one and the modern or the growth, the definition of economics. So at present, we are following with this definition of economics. So with this, we have completed what is economics and the various definitions of economics.